looking at the reproductive system, and specifically the female reproductive system. Let's look at the tract, the reproductive tract that the female has. If we should follow going from outside to in, we see that the part that we can see is the vulva area, and it's not on this diagram, but like I said in lecture, that includes what you call your labia majora. That will be analogous to the main scrotal sac, and then you have your labia minora, and there is actually a clitoris area near the superior anterior location of the vulva, close to the pubic bone. So vulva area, that's what it includes, that's what we can see, but if there should be intercourse that's experienced, a man actually penetrates his penis into the vaginal area, and now you get through that vulva area into what we consider the vagina. On average around 4 inches. And then we actually have, if the male should ejaculate sperm, semen, into the woman's vagina, then the sperm should now travel through the opening to what we call the uterus. Okay, so this is the uterus. And the opening to it is called the cervix. Okay, and about 10 centimeters in length. And it's a thickness to it. But when a woman's pregnant and she's getting ready to deliver, this actual cervix, it starts to actually dilate and becomes a little bit thinner. So that's when the actual child is ready to come out of the uterus. All right, so this is the uterus, and sperm will travel up there and actually go to either one of the fallopian tubes. So these are what we call fallopian tubes. And then sperm then goes to the last portion of the fallopian tube, which is called the fimbriae, which is basically fingers that are just actually hovering right on over the top of the ovary. And sperm gets to the ovary, and that's where sperm should meet up with the actual female's egg, which is called an oocyte. When the sperm and oocyte come together, they will actually now, that which is considered conception, now a zygote will be formed. One cell, that's the actual newborn child. But it's only one cell, so it goes and does a whole bunch of mitosis. We'll go back the other way. If the woman has conceived, then the actual one cell zygote begins to divide by mitosis, and a whole bunch of cells, a conglomerate mass of cells are created called a blastula, then ends up coming down and through the fallopian tube. If it's this side, it comes this way. It depends on which side conception occurred, and then that now ball of cells ends up in the uterus, attaching to the inner lining of the uterus. A special inner lining, obviously, the tissue that lines structures in the body is called epithelial tissue. So same thing here. It's going to be epithelial tissue that's lined. Very important tissue that provides everything for that group of cells that is going to become an actual human. So it's actually going to attach on the lining here and stay there and begin and continue to do mitosis, which is growth, and becomes then what we call an embryo, and then it becomes a fetus, and then it gets larger and larger, and then for 10 months it's taken very well care of. This uterus and the lining of it takes very good care of this actual human, which is called a fetus, and then actually after the 10 months, baby's going to be delivered through this cervix. It becomes much more thinner. And that's the process that's going to happen in delivery. So what the actual OBGYN continues to check constantly is the cervix. So what they can do is open up the actual, look into the vagina area and constantly look at the cervix. So that's what they're constantly doing and checking that during delivery. And they're checking this cervix, and they're trying to see if it actually becomes much more, two things. If it dilates and becomes much more thinner. When it thins out, that's called effacement. So they're checking to see how much thinner it's getting. And then dilation. So dilation is actually related to if this opening gets wider. Now we're talking about the child is actually engaging even more and coming down further. Okay, so then eventually once it gets to the right amount of dilation, then they know it's going to be time now. Okay, so that's what they keep checking in delivery is effacement and dilation. And then once it gets to that really dilated portion, the baby's going to be ready to go. Okay. All right. So that's the actual female reproductive tract, and you also have secondary organs that, like the breast, obviously after the child is born, there's going to be hormones involved that create the milk, which is prolactin, and actually lets the milk down, and that's where you get the secretions of the milk from a hormone called oxytocin. And milk comes out, and now the child can feed off of that, which is great. All right, so and so there you are, as far as the female reproductive tract, and very important anatomical structures and organs involved in that system, reproductive system.